Hello, dear Leo, and welcome to Eternal Mindfulness. Let me ask you something bold right from the start. What if today, the very last day of May, was the final chance to step into the life you've always dreamed of living? I don't believe in accidents. And if you've landed here, listening to these words right now, then I believe, with every part of my being, that your soul brought you here for a reason. This isn't just another horoscope. This is a sacred reminder. A cosmic alignment. A message delivered to you at the exact moment your spirit is most ready to hear it. Today is May 31st, the closing chapter of an incredibly potent energetic window that has been open since the 25th. A 7-day period charged with cosmic force, designed specifically for transformation, courage, and conscious choice. And now, the door is closing. This video is for you, Leo, the sign of the radiant heart, the fearless soul, the born leader. But even lions need to remember who they are when the jungle gets loud. So today, I invite you back to your throne. Have you been feeling it lately? The shifts in your emotions, the dreams, the sudden clarity, as if something is bubbling under the surface, ready to explode into purpose? You're not imagining things. You're awakening. And here's the truth, the universe doesn't knock forever. Today is not the time to doubt. Today is the time to decide. To rise. To choose yourself fully, without fear, without needing permission. Let's pause for a moment. Take a breath with me. Can you feel it? That quiet pull inside? That's the divine within you, nudging, whispering, calling. You see, from a spiritual lens, today isn't just the end of a month. It's a karmic moment. In Buddhist philosophy, all things are impermanent. Every opportunity, every breath, every window opens and eventually closes. And this is your window. The karmic seeds you've planted are ready to bloom, but only if you reach out and harvest them. Before we go further, let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude. To you, yes, you, for your presence. Every like, every comment, every subscription doesn't just help this channel grow, it strengthens the energetic web of this spiritual community. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for walking this path with us here at Eternal Mindfulness. And trust me when I say this, Leo, you're going to want to stay until the very end of this video. Because what the cosmos is about to reveal is nothing short of spectacular. And more than that, it's personal. So tell me, my radiant lions, what was it that pulled you here today? Was it curiosity? A whisper from your soul? Or maybe something deeper that you can't quite name yet? Whatever it is, hold on to it. Because that, right there, is the thread that will pull you through everything we're about to explore together. Let's begin. May 31st isn't just another date on the calendar, it carries a frequency that echoes far beyond the edges of time. This is the final day of a rare cosmic window, one that began opening on May 25th and has been quietly but powerfully reconfiguring the energetic grids around you. Today, that portal prepares to close, and with it, a crucial invitation is placed in your hands. For Leo, the sign of divine self-expression and heart-centered leadership, this is not merely a time to observe, this is a time to step forward. Not as who you've been, but as who you're becoming. From an astrological perspective, the subtle but potent dance between the Sun and Uranus on this day brings an unpredictable spark, a flash of insight, a shift in perception, or a necessary disruption that can reroute the direction of your life. Uranus is the planet of radical change, and when it touches the Sun, especially for a sign so ruled by solar energy like Leo, it's as if your very identity is being rewritten. Not against your will, but in full cooperation with your highest self. This isn't about chaos, it's about freedom. The kind of freedom that only comes when illusions fall away. That's why, symbolically, the tarot speaks so clearly today. The Tower and the Star. A sequence of deconstruction followed by clarity and divine alignment. The Tower isn't destruction for its own sake, it's an act of grace disguised as collapse. What crumbles now is what was never built to last. What remains is what is essential, what is true, what will serve as the foundation for everything to come. And the Star? That's the moment you lift your head after the dust settles and realize you were never lost. You were just clearing space for your light to return. Numerologically, the energy of 31 reduces to 4. 4 is the builder. It's the base of the pyramid, the structure of the home, the calm within the center. Today, you are being asked to look at what you've built, not with judgment, but with clarity. Does it feel aligned? Does it support the version of you that's longing to emerge? Or have you constructed a life so carefully within your comfort zone that you've accidentally locked your spirit out of it? There's a principle taught in timeless wisdom, that we suffer not because of external changes, but because we cling to what is no longer useful. The more we resist the flow of impermanence, the more turbulence we feel. But when we soften, when we open, when we let go of our grip on what no longer holds meaning, something miraculous happens. The space we feared would be empty begins to fill with light. And not just any light, your light. So today is not simply about endings. It's about acknowledgement. It's about honoring every step that brought you to this point, not as mistakes, but as scaffolding. You are not starting over. You are starting from wisdom. From experience. From earned insight. And you are invited to build something new, not out of fear or obligation, but out of resonance, vision, and trust. May 31st is not a warning. It is a whisper. It is the final breath of a cycle that has been urging you to awaken, to remember, and to take up your space not with noise, but with truth. And if you've been waiting for permission, this is it. The sky is shifting. The ground is recalibrating. And your soul is ready. You are not here to live small. You are here to shine in a way that reminds others they can too. When everything around you starts to feel louder, more urgent, more emotional, more unsettled, it's easy to think something's wrong. But what if the discomfort isn't a breakdown, but a breakthrough? What if the rising waves of emotion, the unexpected dreams that circle back night after night, the sense of being off, aren't signals that you're losing yourself, but that you're finally returning to the truth of who you are? These are not random glitches in your system. They are precise indicators that something long dormant within you is stirring. A part of you that you may have quieted for years is now rising to the surface, not to overwhelm you, but to be integrated, heard, and honored. The increased irritability, the tears you can't quite explain, the fire in your chest or the tightness in your throat, these are not flaws. They are pressure points from your inner world urging release. From an energetic perspective, the body speaks long before the mind can understand. A heavy head signals energetic overload, too many thoughts held in, too many truths swallowed. A lump in the throat often means unspoken words, restrained emotions, and boundaries left unclaimed. A racing heart can mean urgency, yes, but not panic. It may be your inner voice finally speaking in a language loud enough to get your attention. In the flow of life, there are moments that call for silence and retreat. And then there are moments like this, when the river speeds up, when resistance tightens, and all of your being seems to shout, something must change. This is that kind of moment. Not because everything is falling apart, but because the version of yourself you've outgrown is reaching its expiration point. The shell is cracking, not to break you, but to let your light out. If you've been feeling compelled to spend money differently, it's not just economic restlessness. It's a deeper desire to invest in something that aligns with your values, your evolution, your becoming. You're not looking to spend, you're looking to exchange energy with meaning. This is your inner compass correcting its course. Emotionally, the reappearance of old connections or the sudden recognition that a current relationship no longer vibrates with your truth may feel jarring, even sad. But clarity is not cruelty. It is a kindness disguised as disruption. You are not required to continue walking beside those whose path no longer aligns with yours. And if you feel the urge to walk away from your work or shift direction completely, it doesn't mean you're unstable. It means your soul has finally gotten tired of shrinking itself into roles it was never meant to play. There is a simple principle that holds true here: anything that no longer resonates with your truth will begin to resist being held. Not out of punishment, but because the moment you stop denying who you are, the world around you must shift to reflect that honesty. Resistance isn't always a sign to stop, it's often a sign to wake up. And here's something important to remember: you're not broken. You're not failing. You're not lost. You're returning. The version of yourself that's emerging now is not new, it's original. It's the version you buried beneath obligation, approval-seeking, fear, and survival. And now, it wants to live. In teachings that echo through timeless wisdom, suffering is not caused by change, but by our resistance to it. Peace arrives not when things settle, but when we stop clinging to what's no longer true. So if you feel unfamiliar to yourself lately, congratulations. That means you're getting closer to who you really are. Say it with me, and write it in the comments if it resonates: I no longer reject who I am becoming. Because this is not the end of your identity, it's the homecoming of your essence. When life speaks in symbols, we don't always get clear answers. We get nudges, synchronicities, and subtle openings that appear ordinary on the surface but carry extraordinary potential beneath. Today, as the last traces of this cosmic window begin to close, you're being offered 3 final invitations. They may not arrive with trumpets or signs in the sky, but if your awareness is open, you'll know when they're in front of you. These aren't random events. They're precise alignments. And the way you respond to them may define the quality of your next chapter. The first is the spark of creativity. It could be a spontaneous idea that arrives while you're brushing your teeth, a message you wake up remembering from a dream, or a project you've abandoned that suddenly reawakens in your heart. Creativity doesn't always shout, it whispers. But it whispers truth. What you'll feel today is not just inspiration, but a kind of inner compulsion. You may feel strangely drawn to begin something, or finish something, or revisit a passion that once made you feel alive. Don't dismiss this as coincidence. That is the life within you saying, I'm still here. Let's create. This creative opportunity may not be immediately profitable or practical, but it will be real. And what is real always grows roots, if you choose to plant it. The second opportunity is relational. There may be an encounter, or a re-encounter, with someone who activates something deeper in you. It may come as a brief conversation that stays with you far longer than expected, or as a familiar face who reappears with a new message, a new role. Sometimes people return not to stay, but to deliver a shift. Other times, they appear because they're meant to walk beside us into the next season of our becoming. The real question is not, why are they back, but, what am I being shown through this connection? Relationships are mirrors. And today, someone may walk in carrying a reflection you've been avoiding, or craving. The third is about power. Not in the controlling sense, but in the creative sense, your capacity to take responsibility for how you influence the space around you. There may be a small but symbolic moment that calls you to step forward, to take ownership of a task, to offer guidance, or to speak where before you stayed silent. This could appear as a leadership role, a new job conversation, or a chance to be seen in your authenticity in front of others. It might feel intimidating. But remember, the doorway to expansion is rarely comfortable. When the invitation arrives, you may not feel ready. Say yes anyway. All three of these invitations share one thing in common: they are time-sensitive. Not because they are punishing, but because they belong to a specific moment in your energetic evolution. And when that moment passes, so does the frequency that carries the potential. It's like a wave, you can ride it, or you can watch it pass. But you cannot summon the same wave again. This is why overthinking can be a trap. You might want guarantees. You might want to see the full staircase before taking the first step. But the truth is, life doesn't give you blueprints. It gives you moments. Just like in nature, seeds don't ask for weather reports, they simply reach for the light when the sun comes out. So today, you are the seed. And this moment is your sun. If you wait for certainty, you may miss alignment. If you demand assurances, you may delay transformation. The universe doesn't negotiate, it invites. And your only job is to notice the invitation, and say yes. Sometimes, transformation doesn't look like a burst of light or a triumphant breakthrough. Sometimes, it feels like chaos. Like losing your grip. Like watching the parts of your life you once relied on begin to crumble without warning. But what if that loss of control isn't a sign that something is wrong, but a sign that something artificial is finally letting go? The energy of today carries a unique intensity, one that aligns with the deeper meaning of the Tower card, not as destruction, but as release. The Tower doesn't fall because you've done something wrong. It falls because the structure was never built to support the weight of who you're becoming. It falls to make space for something more honest, more aligned, more alive. And when that collapse begins, it may feel like your world is shaking, but it's not the world. It's the illusion of permanence. Let's be honest, we've all held on to versions of ourselves longer than we should have. The version of you that constantly had to prove your worth to be loved. The one who kept showing up to a job that drained your spirit, hoping things would eventually change. The one who wore a mask just to make others comfortable, even when it made you invisible to yourself. These aren't just stories, they are walls. And walls, once helpful, can also become prisons. But here's the deeper truth: what you cling to, clings to you. And anything held out of fear becomes heavier with time. That's why this moment isn't about forcing change. It's about allowing release. It's about finally exhaling after years of holding your breath. The process of letting go doesn't have to be violent. In fact, it can be an act of great tenderness. There's a quiet wisdom that teaches, when you stop resisting impermanence, peace begins to grow. Like watching leaves fall from a tree in autumn, not because the tree is dying, but because it's preparing for a deeper, more necessary cycle of growth. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing. You can thank your past without dragging it behind you. You can honor who you were, and still choose who you are now. So here is your invitation. Choose a quiet space. Take a breath that feels real, not rushed. And write a letter to the version of yourself that you know it's time to release. Tell them everything. Thank them for getting you through the hardest moments. Acknowledge their fears, their efforts, their loyalty. And then say goodbye, not with guilt, but with love. When you're ready, burn the letter or tear it into small pieces. As you do, whisper something simple but powerful. Thank you for staying with me until now. I set you free. You don't have to rush into becoming someone new. But you do need to stop performing who you no longer are. The space left behind by what you release will not stay empty for long. Life abhors a vacuum. And the moment you let go, life begins to fill you back up, with truth, with presence, with new possibility. The tower clears the ground. But it is you who builds what comes next. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It's the highest form of strength. Because it means you trust what's coming more than you fear what's ending. It means you finally understand, your worth was never tied to what you carried. It was always in your courage to choose something different. And today, the door is open. In a world that often asks us to dim our brilliance to make others comfortable, choosing to stand in your full light becomes a radical act. And for you, Leo, it's not just a personal choice, it's a responsibility. Your energy isn't meant to be quiet. It's meant to lead. It's meant to ignite. And today, more than any other day, the universe is reminding you that your fire is not here by accident. It's here to illuminate, to inspire, and to awaken something dormant in those around you. Living in your light doesn't mean performing. It doesn't mean seeking applause. It means aligning. It means showing up authentically, even when you're uncertain how it will be received. Because when you allow yourself to be seen as you truly are, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. That's the quiet ripple of true leadership. You don't force transformation, you embody it. There's a teaching that says, the greatest way to influence others is not to correct them, but to embody the truth so fully that they feel safe enough to question their own limits. When you live from your center, you become a mirror, not a critic, but a reflection of possibility. And today, the world needs mirrors more than ever. The courage you show, the risks you take, the love you offer freely, they aren't just for you. They are blueprints for others who have forgotten what they're capable of. Colors carry energy, and today's palette is no coincidence. Gold symbolizes not just material wealth but the energy of abundance itself, an invitation to remember that your presence generates value when you trust your path. Burnt orange speaks to courage, the inner fire that moves you forward when logic hesitates. And pearl white, soft and luminous, is the color of healing, cleansing old narratives that kept you playing small and replacing them with clarity. You may notice today that people respond differently to you. They may turn to you for advice, for support, or even just to be near your energy. Don't shrink from this. It's not a burden, it's a sign that your frequency has shifted. You're not being asked to fix anyone's life. You're being asked to hold your own with such integrity that others remember how to hold theirs. Still, the role of being a light can be lonely at times. Especially when you're the first to break patterns, the first to walk away from what's familiar, the first to say, "This is no longer who I am." But solitude isn't the same as isolation. Sometimes it's necessary silence before a deeper harmony emerges. You're not alone, you're ahead. And that comes with its own kind of sacred stillness. There's also a practical layer to today's energy. This isn't only about inspiration. This is about implementation. This is the moment to put your name on the thing you've been hesitating to claim. Start the project. Set the boundary. Have the conversation. Post the video. Apply for the role. Not tomorrow, now. The keyword today isn't waiting. It's action. Because the longer you postpone living the life that's calling you, the further you drift from the version of you who already knows how to live it. So say it aloud, I'm not waiting for life to begin. I'm living it now. And write it down below, your declaration, your decision, your commitment. Let this be the day where everything quietly begins to change. Not because you tried to be someone new, but because you finally allowed yourself to be who you've been all along. The world isn't waiting for someone perfect. It's waiting for someone honest. That someone is you. If you're still here with me, breathing in the final moments of this message, then I know with certainty, it's not just my words you've been listening to. It's your own higher self. The part of you that already knew something had to change. The part of you that's been waiting, quietly, patiently, for you to stop doubting and start choosing. And maybe this whole time, you weren't looking for a sign, you were looking for permission. But here's the truth, Leo, you never needed it. Not from me. Not from anyone. Because no one else was born with your fire. There is no contract to sign, no checklist to complete before you're allowed to shine. You don't need to feel fully ready. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next real step. One breath, one decision, one quiet yes at a time. That's how change begins, not with force, but with presence. So now I turn it over to you. What are you ready to stop carrying? What version of yourself are you finally willing to say goodbye to? And what would happen if today, yes, this very moment, you decided to trust your light more than your fear? Would you speak the truth you've been holding back? Would you take that leap you've been postponing? Would you stop shrinking in rooms that need your fire? I know this isn't easy. letting go never is. And stepping forward into your brilliance isn't a one-time event, it's a daily practice. But if you've made it to this point in the video, then I already know something about you. You're not someone who came here to live halfway. You're not someone who can pretend forever. You are meant to lead by being fully, unapologetically yourself. So, Leo, don't wait. Life isn't holding back your blessings. It's waiting for your alignment. It's waiting for you to stop playing small, to stop asking for guarantees, and to walk forward like the sun you are. Even if the door seems like it's closing, even if it's just a sliver of light, your light still fits through. And once you pass through, you'll see, the whole sky has been waiting. Thank you, deeply, for staying with me. If something moved inside you today, if something clicked, shifted, or cracked open, then don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below. Say it out loud, I'm stepping into my light. Let that be your first act of courage. Then share this video with someone who may need the same reminder. Hit like if you felt seen. And subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so we can keep walking this luminous path together. Because today, May 31st, isn't just a closing. It's the threshold of a new beginning. And someday soon, when you look back on this moment, I hope you'll say, that was the day I stopped waiting. That was the day I finally stepped in.